Friends and family, thank you for joining me here at the American News Network with Chris Sanders on April the 27th. Lawton, Oklahoma, we have severe flash floods. In fact, throughout the entire state of Oklahoma, we've had a series of three massive storms that have come up across the entire state. This has gone down and through Dallas, Texas as well, where we have Lake Lewisville getting fuller, and Ray Roberts, and also Texoma. The Red River is rocking, it's full. And Lawton, Oklahoma right now is looking like this at the current moment. Storm brought hail and torrential rain into Lawton, caused chaos throughout the city as flash flooding caused emergency responders to conduct several water rescues. Images on social media shows you many vehicles that are abandoned and floating right on down just like they're in a river. And we see them doing this all the way down Sheridan Road, as well as other parts of the city. The north area, northwest 52nd Street, and the Rogers Lane was shut down due to traffic and deep water, with more rainfall projected to hit southwest Oklahoma throughout the day and into the night. The Lawton Fire Department crews have been responding to multiple cars that are flooded out in local roadways as the runoff proved too much for the creeks and the outlets and the waters to flow. So just remember, in Oklahoma, we have these very massive flash floods that have been going on in Dallas, Texas, down into Fort Worth. It's just been back-to-back rain for probably the last 2 weeks. And we see a lot of that coming on back, and I just wanted you to know that. So keep these floods kind of in your corner, because now the ground is very saturated throughout the state of Oklahoma and lots of Texas. So for the rains to come, we could have massive flash flooding, and you're seeing that. And again, this is Lawton, Oklahoma, and we have just massive flooding that's going on right now. So my prayers are to everybody. Again, if you have a car, don't run it in there, because if you suck water into your intake, you'll kill your engine. So just let the flood come. Don't start your car if it's got water all the way around it. And, from there you can make stuff happen. Okay? So again, don't go driving through water that's thick. Just turn around and go the other way, because you can really kind of get to your engine and knock it out. And then you don't have a car anymore. Okay, these are just things that I'm trying to bring on to our attention right now as far as what's going on. I reported this early on, and it's now come out with conclusive proof, in fact. But the pilot, the woman that actually did kill everybody, was the one that was Joe Biden's assistant. And now evidence does prove to that. And also we have a couple of judges getting arrested for helping out Tren de la Agua and other people like that as such. But this is an interesting thing here. So these DEI policies, and you remember this in Washington, D.C., but this lady right here, and she was a DEI hire, lesbian activist, but now we have flight recordings where they're demanding her to veer off. And even another pilot was like struggling with her for like 15 minutes. So some massive stuff was going on. Sorry, I got David out there needing some attention and other things. But yeah, this lady, now we have conclusive proof the female pilot was the cause for the action. And that's just now hitting our news as well. Now, we have something interesting, and this is Netanyahu daring Trump. And last time we had a leader dare Trump, his name was Zelensky. But I'm going to wonder, is Netanyahu going to prove some sort of ownership here in this situation? Are we going to be owned by Israel? Are we going to fight every single battle that this guy wants us to? The death toll now is like at over 45,000, with 15,000 murdered children. Now, something else as far as what's going on besides policy and besides us getting robbed just left and right. This is basically Fisherman's Wharf right here, and we've all been there. And I want you to know that everything is out of business. And I remember going to these places with my parents and friends. And this was established over 100 years ago, Alitos. It's gone today. And even the place that used to crack crabs, I put that on street music back in the 90s. There it is there. It's now abandoned. This is what happens when you have Nancy Pelosi and Gavin Newsom robbing you blind and sending all the money to China. And by the way, we just learned that the Biden administration had sent over something like $350 billion to Iran, which is part of the reason why they have the Houthis have all this excess money. Now, what did they use that money for? Well, it didn't go into our community, and you can tell because this is San Francisco today. It's completely empty. Again, this is what Gavin Newsom did. You couldn't have used a bomb to decimate the country as quickly as this. But now the entire city of San Francisco is in fact looking just like Alcatraz. It's all barred up. And it's a forgotten memory in the United States because of crooked politicians. We have crooked politicians. None of those Democrats won their positions, not Nancy Pelosi, not Gavin Newsom. It's not just a recall you need to change the way you do voting. They allow illegal aliens to get driver's licenses so that they can basically sway the vote and then fill out as many mail-in ballots as they want to. And that's the fraud that they perpetuate, and that's why they're still in office. And that's why this place is completely empty. You need to wake up and understand that California is out of control. In the state, it's not lost because of how you're voting. It's lost because of the fraud that's coming from the Democrats, and it's full on out satanic. They want to mutilate our children. They want to give us drugs. They want to send all of our money to another country. Just so you know, Doge, we made another discovery. And we paid $3 million for Chelsea Clinton's marriage and $10 million for the mansion that she's living in. So like $13 million frauded by the Clintons through USAID. This is real stuff, and as long as they fraud us again, then all these businesses that could have gotten a dime from USAID didn't get anything. Everything was neglected, and this is what happens when we have a misappropriation of funds. Now, we're building up these world alliances, and I'm seeing it right in front of our eyes. Countries are choosing sides. J.D. Vance went to India, had a great time with Modi. His wife is from India. India's done a lot to get inside the United States, but right now we have Pakistan and India at odds. The people there, you guys have 24 hours to get out of India. And even the people that are from Pakistan in India hospitals have been ordered to get out. This is pretty serious stuff. And so we had Pakistan responding with 130 nuclear missiles they're threatening India with. So basically they're threatening India and the United States. And I'm seeing sides that are being challenged. China immediately then gives Pakistan more military gear to antagonize India. At the same time, we have the Mossad in Israel and Iran, and we had a massive sodium perchlorate explosion. Now, it says in the Bible, like, you try to form anything, any weapon against me shall fail. We had Erdogan basically threaten Israel. We had Istanbul have a massive earthquake. We have Iran making a threat to Israel. We have a massive explosion happening in Bandar Abbas. And it is, kind of an interesting thing that's going on, and it is the will. But we have massive explosions that have happened there. And I think Christianity also is under attack, I will add to that. But let me get to what I'm trying to find for us right now. And that is, okay, here we go. So this is the Iranian port. And basically, we don't know how many people died. We know that there's about 800 that are severely wounded and will probably die later on. What ignited was several shipments of sodium perchlorate. Now, what that is it's rocket fuel. And so Iran was going to load up all of their fresh rockets full of fuel to attack Israel and the United States Navy. And by the will of God or just their own stupidity, it explodes. So they didn't get to even take their missiles off the ground, and God has won. And this is beautiful. So this is actually beautiful news, because the fuel that was going to be used to take out all of Israel, all of the United States Navy, just exploded. But more importantly, I want America to understand that sodium perchlorate rocket fuel was provided to Iran by China. China is our enemy. And we've got to realize that. They're also trailing our U.S. Navy right now. And we're in a major type of war, but everybody that's got a beef with the United States has become the best friend of China. And, it's basically there's sides that we're taking as we speak. And they are chess pieces of a world war. And as long as we follow Netanyahu, we have China and Russia against us. Understand that according to the bylaws of how we purchased Alaska, we could actually forfeit the state of Alaska by going into a war with Russia. Now, we could claim that they became the USSR and back to Russia, but this would actually give Putin the ammunition he needs to take over Russia, and at this point, or take over Alaska. And at this point, he has the power to do that because we're completely defeated in as far as drained by how we gave our equipment to the Taliban with Joe Biden, and how we gave all of our arsenal and military gear through Miley and Austin and Blinken and Joe Biden. Article 3, Section 3, treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them, or in adhering to their enemies. Did Joe Biden, did Miley, did Austin adhere to the enemies? Did they adhere to the Taliban? Next part. Adhering to their enemies, giving them aid or comfort. I would say giving them machine guns is giving them aid. Helicopters, that's aid. Humvees, that's aid. Beds, that's comfort. Now, it's going to get interesting here, American News Network, a major news network on all Roku TVs, because it says giving them aid or comfort, no person shall be convicted of treason unless the testimony of 2 witnesses to the same overt act or the confession in open court. Well, Pam Bondi, I'm here to tell you that I, Chris Sanders, am ready to give my testimony in open court, that treason in the United States has happened, and that I can see clearly that we have aided and abetted and given comfort to the Taliban. By the way we pulled out, there's no excuse. They could have flown all of that equipment and gear to Saudi Arabia or Israel or one of our allies. But what we did was that we gave it to a group of terrorists that have now been antagonizing Iran, Pakistan, and India. And now they even sold some of that gear to where our boys in the Army and the Marines in Saudi Arabia coming on over are now fighting our own weaponry that was left by Miley and Austin, courtesy of Blinken and Jackwagon Joe. So I need another witness. I need a witness. You can leave your comments. I'll be a witness. It's just the testimony of 2 of us, Pam. And by that, we comply with the Constitution of the United States of America, and it's time to bring these tards down. Lots of judges, and I mean a lot more judges. It was found by O'Keefe Media, James O'Keefe, that one of the top guys in the secret shadows of the Pentagon is covertly planning to go against Trump and all of his actions. This is also treason. We have a commander-in-chief. If you don't respect rank, if you can't expect and you can't respect chain of command, get out. Everybody that has been exposed violating chain of command, in my opinion, you are hereby fired and terminated. And Pete, get the lead out of your butt. You got to do this, son, because there's people talking bad about you. So it's time to pass out the pink slip. And I don't see why you guys need to make us think that you need to give them a 6-month or an 8-month severance pay. That's total horse crap. Kick their butt out high and dry and say, so long, you. You're lucky we don't throw you in the brig for treason. Now, this was discovered by O'Keefe Media, and I'm letting you know we have high-ranking people that are in charge of people at the Pentagon that basically have been openly saying that they will not listen to the will of the President of the United States. Now, behind me, what I'm going to play briefly here is what I call the Samson option. And basically, throughout that option, the thing that makes it kind of interesting is we go over Israel's tactical, what they have, their nuclear capabilities, where they're at now. So from a lot of their war fighting that's been happening over just the last couple of years, they're getting drained. We're getting drained. Our conventional tactics are coming down. So it's getting to the point where we have nuclear options on the table, and the United States is not as apt to do them as Israel is, but Israel has something called the Samson option. And this completely is geared up to, as you can see, completely blow up all of everywhere from Egypt, anywhere where Islam exists for some reason. They've got a missile planned out, and you could see all of North Africa, Syria, and all these places that are getting taken out. And these are bombs that are on the agenda for Israel should this thing pass out a little bit further. And again, this is something on the table. And so we have their tactical bombers, we have their 2 nuclear aerials and airside areas, and one of them has been hit. And how would they go into this a little bit further? Well, it's getting to that point. And so understand, for me, I think the whole Middle East is kind of coming together because Netanyahu's being so aggressive, and he's being aggressive to countries that have allies that have nuclear weapons. And as such, Israel is a one-bomb country, and it's going to have consequences because hate breeds hate. That's just pretty much the simpleness to it. But this chemical stockpile that just was exploded, it's a pretty interesting twist. And again, here we had 600, now there's over 800, but we have sodium perchlorate. And why is China supplying Iran to attack Israel in the United States? This should list them as an enemy. Why is Iran trailing the United States Navy? They just trailed us through the Taiwan Strait. They've been very aggressive. Okay, why is China now landing an air force in Egypt to attack Israel in the United States Navy? We need to wake up and understand the line in the sand. Russia's not being our aggressor. They're not moving around. However, Russia also then responded by moving more Russian Air Force into Iran. So should this move on, I know we're talking a lot of bravado here, but we have Israel posed to be hit through Egypt and Iran through the power and courtesy of China and Russia. And keep in mind, both of those sides have one bomb that can take out all of Jerusalem. This was probably behind me an act of either the United States or Mossad, or just the sheer stupidity and grace of God of all of that sodium perchlorate getting exploded at the harbor. Could you imagine the 10,000 plus missiles this could have used just in propulsion, so that they could have delivered a nuclear warhead or something worse towards the United States Navy or towards Israel? So if this was Mossad, in this case, I'd say great job. If it was our CIA or intelligence, excellent job. We need to do more stuff like this, and it's because they got a lot of shell material, as you can see here behind me. But this was the fuel that they were going to put in it. And so now they're have been exposed. I zoomed into this town, and it was an older Google image, meaning that they had been massively stockpiling on sodium perchlorate just recently. And then, thank goodness, this happened. So Tehran is crying about it, and good. We have a lot of justice and a lot of missiles that did not take off the ground. Now we have Israel denying it, but in this case, I'd say that would have been an excellent move. But who knows who's really to be responsible for this. But the casualties were only like around 750, 800. Now we have, Trump going to the Pope's funeral. And as he goes to the funeral, a lot of people are wondering why, because he's more of a Jew than he is a Christian. Well, it's because his wife, our First Lady, Melania Trump, is a Catholic. And as such, he went there, but he was bombarded, of course, and he was bombarded by Zelensky and everybody else in Macron. And the body language says a lot, but more than anything, what I'm going to say is that I think Macron, the United Kingdom, and Germany, you guys are on your own, and I can tell by just looking at our president what he thinks of you. And he really didn't even care to be there, but he was. And we, as a free country, need to oust Zelensky. Here's another leader. This is Giorgia Meloni, the Prime Minister of Italy. And she was also very fed up and agitated. Didn't even want to kind of greet Zelensky. And that's good, because she needs to stand up for Italy. And the last thing that Italy needs is Zelensky there to ruin it. He's ruining America enough. Now, at the funeral, you can see Trump, and he chews some chewing gum, and you can tell he's really not wanting to be there. Okay? And Melania is there, and lip-reading experts even can say, could you say hi to Macron, and could you say hi to... And you can totally see it. Our beautiful orange man, he's just looking around like, look at all these people. I can't stand this. And I think he probably can't stand it in all actuality, because the church has not defended children. And so be it. But you can tell that his wife is Catholic and Christian, and I see that Trump has more respect for the Wailing Wall and for being Jewish than for being Christian. And here's an open, everybody else is praying, and he's looking around, kind of like he's not really wanting to be there. And so that's just... that's just, who he is, and he's being himself. And at least he paid his respects. But as he was paying his respects, he was bombarded by every loser from Europe, using it as an opportunity to just try to talk to our president and beg for more money. And I'm pretty happy to know that he defied the rules. Everybody else was in black, and he was in blue, red, white, and blue. And it defied the Vatican's rules. So good job, Trump. I think every little bit that you can do to defy what's happening over there is, in fact, a good thing. Especially with how they kind of ridiculed and insulted and made up these slanderous, ridiculous stories about Vance. But we have China and Iran in an alliance as this is going on, and China and Egypt in an alliance. Okay, so these chemicals, okay, were going to be in bombs that were going to be aimed at the United States Air Force, Marines, Army, Navy, and Israel. And because of Israel, we have enemies that we shouldn't have, but we have them. And this is a fact. These chemicals are real. And Netanyahu has gone from Lebanon, Jordan, Syria. He'll threaten Turkey, Iran. He's going to make sure that the entire area apparently is under the control of Israel before he checks out. And it's obvious that that is his mission. But as far as what happened today, this was a great chess move as far as for any military side, because it prohibited the use of these chemicals to be used in missiles. And so God's working for everybody here. This would have just destroyed way many lives had these missiles been able to take off. So that's some pretty tremendous news right there that I wanted to share with you as well. And this is rocket fuel, okay, sodium perchlorate, and that's what you're seeing right here. And it's weird because I'll tell you why it's so weird. As we're burying a pope, okay, and literally he's getting buried, like the whole world is going into a world war. I mean, if you haven't noticed. Let's see here. Another thing is this. I've been adding up all these fires lately. Here's one in Queens. Vicky Richter's covering a couple of them in England. But I'm noticing so many different churches have been set on fire. And so our faith is being threatened. Here's in Eastford. Here's another church that's been set on fire. And if no one brings you this news, it's just not going to hit your ears. So then here's another one that's just happened in Texas as well. And it's a vow to rebuild the church in our communities. But I think that Christianity is under attack. So Pam Bondi, and if I need more witnesses, let's stand together as Christians. We have to defend our faith and our community, for we're built on a rock. And since we're built on a rock, this house shall stand. Surely it shall. And here's another great American, Make America Great Again, in the great state. And Newton Church was attacked on the eve of Easter. And, you know, I have to bring this to our attention, that we too are being attacked. But our media is not articulately saying it to us. So again, a couple churches in England, up in Ireland, Scotland, Texas, New Jersey, Washington, everywhere we're having fires, even up in Canada, of churches. Pacific Palisades are meeting on their church that burned, but that was because the whole community burned to the ground. As we're doing our war drills between Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan, Kim Jong-un, or Il, as I call him, Little Kim, unleashes another battleship. This one's nuclear able, and he's got nuclear missiles on it. So he's loaded full of submarines. But here is a new battleship from North Korea, courtesy of Little Kim. And it's got, like it says, capable of nuclear warheads. And so this is his gift to the world today. Is another nuclear fiasco coming from North Korea to Japan and Taiwan. And it's on the side of China and Russia. But his real ally is actually Vladimir Putin and not China. Okay? And that's just the way it is. But Trump has made a lot of headways, and they're lip-reading experts, but everybody was outraged that he was in blue instead of black. And I think, well, great, because he wasn't there to play with your little game. And that's refreshing. The problem with too many people is that we play with these games, and these games then get carried away with ultimatums. And then those things get carried away with just decisions for countries. But the reason why Xi Jinping is going to fail And the reason why Putin is going to make it is because his military is not allowed to have a faith. No faith in God, no faith in Jesus, no faith in Muhammad, no faith in Buddha. And when you deny your people that, you really don't have a military. So we're going to see China crumble, in my opinion, because of that. And it's the leaders that have a strong faith that are the ones that are going to keep the world together. So again, we have a lot of interesting things that are happening. As far as in the world, here's a couple of really cool dudes. That'd be Joseph Keating there, and he was like a son to me and a victim of the Chinese war on fentanyl. And as such, it's part of the reason why I'm going to make sure that they don't ever have the ability at all ever to poison our pills and our pain medication. And they're even doing it with gummies for children. But Joey was in great shape, and we did humanitarian things with like air to water and producing oil and gas together in the state of Texas. And he'd be loving to be with me with Drill Baby Drill right now, but he was victimized by China. And I want you to know that it's, that China killed my vice president of Sanders Drilling. And, they don't replace people like this, and it's tough for us. But we're ready to get back into action, into the swing of things. And what you're seeing really behind me is the Permian Basin in Texas. And at the Permian Basin, we produce probably, the only place that competes with us here would be Saudi Arabia. But we have oil coming in everywhere as far as, in that area. And we'll have like George at Watergate Capital, Hamza, Adam Good, other people you can contact as far as tax revenue. This is our strategic reserves for the United States right here, where we're deep in the heart of Texas. And I drilled right next to, like, even George Bush was Zapata down there, and my father back in the days, and this is with Lone Star Gas Company. So jobs are coming back into the oil patch. Drill Baby Drill is in full momentum. We have offices at the Watergate in Washington, D.C. now. So if you just go down to the center of the Watergate in Washington, D.C., you can just walk into our offices and learn all about our projects that we have. They're energy projects for the United States. And most of them, for accredited people, are looking at about a 20% ROI on what we do, because it's oil and gas, and it's in Texas and Eagle Ford or Permian Basin based stuff. Now, sliding back into other things, this is probably karma from the USS Liberty, but this is ship number 2 that our Navy accidentally blew up that was one of Israel's, and I'm thinking, maybe justice is fair, and I'm glad we did bring it up. And maybe our military is sick of following Netanyahu into every single war that he wants us to be in. So we have another fault that they're blaming us for, and for me, this is just karma. Let's just pull our troops all back home. Just like Colonel Douglas McGregor said, we need at least a good 40 to 60,000 troops at our border. We have a new military base. It's called the Roosevelt Reservation. It is 632 miles long and 60 feet wide. If you go over it, you can be immediately arrested by the United States military, and Trump did this to avoid a posse comitatus. This is now a United States military base. It is the border of Mexico and California, Arizona, and New Mexico. It should be Texas as well, because that would make it the can't states, and those governors can't clearly do their job. So we have Israel getting spooked. It's getting spooked because China just keeps on landing more and more jets, and bombs, and missiles in Egypt. And it's apparent that they're getting ready to attack Israel with full force. Same thing is also happening, and I want you to know this, in America. It's still happening massively with Russia and Iran. Russia's going to go back over and take over Afghanistan. Trump's trying to do peace in the Ukraine, and Putin's like, I ain't doing peace anymore. All this crap is mine, period, and I'm going to blow up anybody that gets into my way. And you know what? Let them have it. Zelensky's a pain in the ass, and I'm tired of that laundry machine, and so is America. When I was born, just so you know, that was called Russia. Chernobyl was in Russia. Their average military age is over 45 years old. That means they were all 15 years old, and they were all Russian when they were born. Those are just facts. So we got to get out of these wars that are just foreign wars. It's like fighting the Russian Civil War. How ridiculous can you be? While our borders are open from Canada and through Mexico, we got to also pay attention to all the expired visa holders in Canada that don't leave Canada. They just traipse their butts down into good old United States. And we need to stop that, because it's easier to get into Canada than it is America. Because who wants to be a Canadian? It'll have some advantages once you become an American, but Canadians really can't have certain responsibilities. But then again, they might get certain advantages. For instance, we do have the highest incarceration rate in the world. We're only 4.9% of the world's population, but yet 25% of the prisoners of the world live here in the good old United States. Don't you want to be an American too? Okay, Lawton, America, I'm going to be closing out with just letting you see this disaster that's happened in Lawton, Oklahoma. We have more rain coming in, so I'm going to say have your heads up even around Ardmore, Lake Murray, down from there, Marietta, Lake Ray Roberts, Texoma, Lake Louisville. We're going to be looking at now all of our soil is pretty drenched. So if we get any more of these rains, this is what happened with Rain 3 wave up in Lawton, Oklahoma. And so that is the news report. And my prayers are for everyone. We have a no longer existing Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco. We have Benjamin Netanyahu daring Trump as he tries to drag us into another war. We have Pakistan threatening India with 130 nuclear missiles. We have Kursk that is claiming, even in this city today, that they feel that they have been liberated by Russia. And that's because of how they were just going in apprehending every single person that was in the way. We have the USS Lawrence defying all of the Chinese odds. And I want you to know that this beautiful United States USS Lawrence was trailed and antagonized on April 24th, 2025. It was a 12-hour mission as we went through the Strait of Taiwan. And as we were doing that, they were basically right on our tail, threatening us the whole entire way. We did not deviate from our course of rectitude, and as such showed no fear, but we're ready to give it out. Do not think for a second we didn't have a couple Trident submarines ready to unleash hell, and they knew this, and that's why we do what we do. But China's playing the I own this game. And China, you don't own crap. I suggest, Pete, you need to kick out all these insurgents, the ones that James O'Keefe met. You need to fire these people. He has the evidence, Pam Bondi. It's treason. All those people that do not serve the commander-in-chief and you, sir, need to be fired. If you need help for free, I'll help your butts out. But we need to clean house, and we need to get rid of everybody that does not serve you and the commander-in-chief and does not respect the chain of command, period. And once we have that, we can have a more secure, open line of communication. This is all about communication. Lavrov has talked about this, but Chinese fighter jets, they flew almost within inches of getting completely smashed into the dirt. And we are now getting antagonized. Our 6th Strike Group fleet also, we're getting chased by China everywhere as they are giving the enemy fuel for missiles. I say we hit them now. This is just my opinion, because they're gearing up to attack us through various countries. And we just had a massive explosion that proves that China is aiding Egypt, and they are also aiding Iran so that they can attack the United States Navy that defends Israel. Now, these are just facts, and these are facts that are coming in, but I'm letting you know that we have massive explosions, and God just kind of helped us out. We need a reality check. We have Lavrov that has wanted to talk to us about certain things. And so I'll let him say some things. Maybe I won't. Okay, basically, he's basically saying it's all about opening up a door of communication. And if he and Trump can basically talk and Putin can talk, that we can, and we don't have these intermediaries in the way, and respect on both sides, that Russia and the United States can continue to move forward and build alliances. However, I do believe that the Ukraine at this point, we've aided and abetted them enough, and that Putin is trying to deliver a message to the EU and NATO that you have been defeated by Vladimir Putin, period. Now, why do I say that? Well, I'm going to say that because of this. What you're looking at right now is happening in Russia, and this was a live event that was going on over there, and this is Putin's Victory Day parade because he knows he has smashed and kicked everybody's butt into the dirt, period. And as we are falling behind in weaponry every single day, at 2 weeks for every day that we stay in war, this guy is moving ahead 4 days to 1 week every day that he has since he started. He's fabricating more tanks, more missiles day by day, even as he's using them. So he's not going into the hole at all. They're fabricating the crap out of airplanes, tanks, missiles, guns, every single thing that you could think of because they're a manufacturing company. As such, I'm telling people out there in America, you need to manufacture bullets and guns and munitions yourself. It doesn't take rocket science, but we need to bind together. And then in Europe and Ireland and England, you guys need to open up shotgun companies somehow and get it started because you have to arm your citizens. It is obvious to me that we can look at Russia and how they have armed themselves, and they view the tyranny of the world of being Israel because they're the people that spooked and took over the United States media and then brainwashed the United States into DEI and gay propaganda as being proper. And he sees that being a Christian Russian Orthodox as being satanic. And so do I. So I agree with you, Putin. I do believe that the objective that they've held on us is purely satanic. And you give these people an inch, they take a mile, and they just try to conquer and divide us. And I see a destroyed country since the day we let them in. Now, you might say to me, well, what do you mean by that, Chris? What do you mean it's a destroyed country since, the day that you took them in? Well, I'm seeing our churches on fire. My vice president died from getting poisoned by fentanyl. I see a government that doesn't care. I'm seeing Netanyahu that's basically out of control. And if you don't think that the gay DEI stuff is a failure, well, this town behind me called San Francisco, the Fisherman's Wharf, well, this was the mecca of gayness in America. And now it's a completely dead town. This isn't fiction. This is what you're seeing. This is just a fact. And last I checked, 2 gay guys couldn't reproduce and have kids. And so you're looking at a ghost town and how this lifestyle perpetuates itself. And the only thing that perpetuates it is into the coffin and into the cemetery with no legacy, 0 legacy, and a ghost town. So as long as you're going to keep up that lifestyle and have Nancy Pelosi in there and you're going to let her get along with insider trading, you're going to have a destroyed America. Every single place you've had this satanic order, this Democrat order in, we have failed complete towns. These people were not elected, none of them. The only thing they figured out was how to fraud the election. And that they did at the cost of every restaurant, every dry cleaner, every store, every ma and pa store that you could think of, every electronic store, every fishing store, all of our iconic restaurants are gone. That is what wokeism, being anti-Christ, is all about. It ends legacies, it ends freedom, and it destroys America. This is what America was. Even in World War II, all of this stuff was rocking and rolling strong. What killed us today? What killed San Francisco is Nancy Pelosi and Gavin Newsom, their two relatives, and their involvement with China. And all the money that we should have had went to them instead of us. And these empty buildings are the proof, America. We can't be robbed anymore. And we can't have all of our favorite towns destroyed just because we have politicians and a gerontocracy that is out of control. God bless you. Please like, share, and subscribe. Spread this to everyone that you can. And if you haven't hugged your grandma or grandpa today, please do, because we live for you guys. Amen.